And also you want to use virus and nematode and also fungi, I found it. So, and so in also from Africa, so they propose to use, for example, rabbit urine. So, if, I mean, if they don't have, the means to buy insecticides, so they typically they have a rabbit, so they ferment urine, so they spray this urine, so flammable can be dead. And also some people use fish soup, so they boil fish on the stream and they spray and the ant will attack. And will be gathered together and this ant will attack flammable. And anyway, so there are a lot of efforts, but and also we have to invest our research effort for this to find out this biocontrol or ecological control. But my impression is that in reality, using ecological control is a bit far from reality, especially for large-scale applications. For example, like we have very large maize fields, so can you use like ecological control? And so in general case, so I don't know. So and more and more, so people think that we have to use genetically modified crops, like especially BT. So in Africa, so starting from the South Africa, so they use GMO corn, GMO crops more and more. But I want to share the samples in Brazil, just for information. So first they use BT corn, so BT maize to control pest species. So it looks like working very well from the beginning. So they are very happy. But the problem of them is that they didn't use the guideline of the using GMO corn. So because if you use GMO, so we have to use 20% of cornfield as a refugee, so to suppress the resistance. But they don't want to sacrifice 25% of their crop field just for our guideline. So they didn't use refugee. So then, in certain moments, so they BT resistance. So then the BT is not really working in too many cases. So they start spraying chemical insecticide. So in certain moments, so they have an invasion of Helicobacter pyogenes. So they spray insecticide a lot of times, and they have a resistance to chemical insecticide. So now they have no solution so to control species, especially of flammyworm. And Helicobacter pyogenes and Zika, they can be controlled a little bit better. So for the pest insect monitoring, so we need to know this kind of information. So when the damage will actually start, and if damage will start, and how much the damage will be, and what will be target crops. So, but if we don't know any information about that, so just for illustration, so I put the maize field, cotton field, rice, and coffee field, just for illustration. So because we don't know any information, I think it's a typical case in Africa and many parts of the world. So we first spray, like I put the insecticide A and just wait. So just to, just for control. And we find resistance of the insect on maize and cotton field. So and the farmers are unhappy. So they decide to use another insecticide. It's not working. So we spray another one. And the maize is okay, but for cotton field, so they again see the resistance. So it causes. So then we end up with having an overuse of pesticide and maize and cotton. So it caused the economic burden to farmers, and also it caused the problem in the environment and the health. So and also we failed to control cotton. But from the beginning, if we know that on the maize field, so it will be going to have a resistance to pesticide A, and cotton field, the insect will have resistance to A and B. And rice field, we are not going to have like very severe pest infestation, or it does not arrive at all. So and coffee field, insect will arrive, but they will be susceptible to insecticide A. If we know this information, then we can effectively spray insecticide B to maize field, insecticide C to corn field, and rice field. We don't have to do anything, and cotton field, we put insecticide A. Then we don't see any heavily infested insect. So then we have like reduce in the cost on environment and economic health. So this is the ideal situation. So and also for the biocontrol, for example, if you want to use parasitoid wasp or fungi or anything, it's very important to know. So when the infestation will stop, because we have to be ready before the infestation starts, because we know that once the infestation, damage starts, so it's too late to do anything. So the damage will keep continuing and become more and more serious. So because this is, also, so I add this, but because I didn't add this, which pesticide will be effective. So because in current techniques, we have no way to predict insecticide resistance. So. And anyway, so for the traditional monitoring, so humans physically search, navigate the computer, and they record the presence and absence of pest insect. And then, so if it's possible, so they bring the insect to the lab and they check the insecticide resistance according to the guideline. But for this, so we had, it's very difficult to cover many areas in the world. For example, in Ethiopia, I checked the size of the Ethiopia is like 1 million, which is I think like more than 10 times larger than South Korea, and more than around 2 times larger than France's main territory. So Ethiopia alone is very large. So how is it possible to perform monitoring on this large area, which is a bit unrealistic? So we have to focus on some area, so which is a bit pity. And in many cases, so we have some uncertainty on the species identification. So for example, I took a photo of Ptera frugipirida and Ptera littoralis. So can you distinguish which one is frugipirida and which one is littoralis? Can you say which is the correct answer? So this is exactly. So yes, right. So yes, so because you are expert, so you know you can distinguish what is what. But in many cases, it's not possible. So I've experienced that so one of my colleagues say that, okay, I'll send you work. So once we get it, it's all littoralis. So it happens. So this identification itself is a problem. So as an alternative, and also there's another problem. So for this information, we have to share information. For example, like infestation from Sudan, for example, and we need to know the information from neighboring countries to know if you are prepared or not. But the sharing information is not always straightforward, because it's important to know decide who will perform the sharing information and how to share this information. So this sharing information should be slower than the pest movement. So this is also another problem. So, and as an alternative, so we use digital monitoring. So as an alternative, so because first, so we can use, if we have digital data, then we can use artificial intelligence and statistical modeling. And second, so and because it's digital data, so it's very easy and straightforward and test to share this information between neighboring countries and, of course, all over the world. So, and how to perform digital pest monitoring? First, we can use a smart trap. So with this trap, so we can use perform automatic detection of pest species. Then humans don't have to go all the place like regularly to know if the present specific species exists or not. So typically, so smart trap is composed of camera to take a picture or video of pest insect, and they use the pheromone lures to attract insect. So which should be specific to pest. And we also combine the meteorological data and GPS, and then also we will identify species. then using IoT gateway, so and we can users can have this information. This is the basic concept of using smart trap. So and for the species identification, so it is possible that we can use like cloud server to use artificial intelligence. Then the data goes from this smart trap to the cloud server, and within this server we identify species, and this species information will be delivered to users. So this is the one of the strategy. Another strategy is that in many cases, so we don't want to use this server because photos usually have a very have large data, so it's not always easy to transfer the data to server. Also, there is some kind of like a security issues or like a right of the property issue. So they want to use like their own local AI, which is called HEI. Which is very light, because we don't have to have very large like LLM model or something like very complex model. It is just sufficient to know which species we are talking about. So we use this HAI with very little device. So and I put this photo of Raspberry Pi, which is like this size of computer. So then we identify species, and then this information will be transferred to user device. So this is one of the. There are many commercially available smart traps. So this is one example of TrapView, which is very expensive, like several thousands of US dollars. So they say that it can identify this species using their internal algorithms to identify species. So if we use this machine, so we can find this information. So this is examples in America. So this insect within this rectangle is a Helcorrhea, and this one is not Helcorrhea. So in the large farms, they install this trap like many places, and they check the existence of insect. So without visiting many places in their very large farm. So there are several studies to show that it's really working. Or not. So and there are some studies showing that this trap is very reliable and can really reduce the burden of the humans and reduce the cost in the end. However, so we don't want to buy this machine. So it works only for very large farms, so like a company. So there are many alternatives. So this one was developed by one Chinese person. So storage is like that. So of course we need to have a rain cover. So yes, and also insect, you put the lure, insect will go through like that, and this is camera, so they record insect, and there is a circuit board. So from this board, so we can use like a mathematical formula, so to identify species. And this is specialized for all in the world. So then we can know that what species it is. So photo is typically like that. So we don't have to have very large resolution, and this resolution is sufficient. And so, but even we don't need to use this circuit board actually. So a camera could be sufficient. For example, if we have this image data, we can easily install any application using our desktop. Or there are also like a smartphone application. So I the example application called Nuru, which was jointly made between FAO and Kenya, I think. So also there are many web applications. So because it has a big field. So and if you think another way, the fact that we have so many solutions for the automatic certification means that the skills to identify species automatically is not really nature. So if one method can be dominant, so then we will use only this method. But anyway, there is solution to know which species we are talking about. So we just put the camera here, in my sense. And also, this is another example of another type of digital monitoring for the remote sensing based surveillance for early warning system. So for example, like if plant is healthy, so we know that the color should be green because a healthy plant can observe a red, blue light and it reflects green light and yellow violet light. So, but it's not healthy, so they observe less blue and red light in their chlorophyll, and they reflect less green light and infrared the wavelength. So that means that if we calculate the ratio of red to NIR, so it's possible to detect the health of the plant. So it's better than the human eyes because this data it can be more precise. So this ratio is called normalized difference vegetation index. So for example, this is a calculation from Africa. So we get this index from the unmanned area vehicles, we say drones or satellite. So and for example, like here, so plants tends to be more green, and Sahara Africa tends to be less green. So of course, this is obvious. But we could keep monitoring the change in color. And for example, in this specific location, so we see the change in color dramatically. That means that something happened in this area. So we have to go and see what's going on there. So this is the purpose of this method. And there are many variations. So this is we check the color of the plant. And so there's also like another one, like for example, like soil moisture index, or there we can use like composite like statistics of many things. But now we are in the artificial intelligence era, so we tend to think that we don't have to rely on these specific statistics. We have many images with known pest species and damage, and we can use the pixel data of these images. And then we can find association with this pixel data and this species and damage. And we use the training of the machine using this information, and we generate the training data set. And we have another image with unknown pest species and unknown damage. And we use this image for the prediction of pest species and damage. So this is now one of the very rapidly innovating field in agricultural monitoring, pest monitoring. So this is the typical examples and from the satellite data. So and I also want to mention that now it is possible to obtain very high quality satellite data without cost. So we can really, if you have like skills to analyze the data, and we have the training data set, it's very straightforward to perform this kind of like monitoring. So for example, locust infestation, so they find that in western Mauritania, so they found some information about the locust infestation here. So, and based on our experience, that the movement of this locust, and then we can be prepared. So, for like here and here, so I spraying like more insecticide or heavily or something like or any other. So this is possible, one of the successful example. And another example is like South America leafhopper infestation with the virus infection. So in red is the infected maize, and this color green is the non-infected maize. So if we have this information, then okay. So it is, we can be prepared with other areas. So this is here, so we have to do something here. So it is possible to know this information. And if we use drones, so we have a much better, higher resolution. For example, like this is examples of the infestation of hemlock looper. So like this. So if we take an image and we can find it. So these trees are affected by this pest. Then so we know that which trees are really in problem, so we can do action proactively for case one and retroactively for the infected trees. And this crest of the bark beetles looks like this. So okay, so we know that we have like an infestation of these beetles in this area. So then we can perform prevention of the spread of this pest more efficiently. So yeah, so if we perform like a regular image taking in this field of interest like that, okay, so we know that okay, no problem. Okay, suddenly we find problems. Problem stopped in this specific area, then we can do some action. Then we don't have to use insecticide like that much again. So it is sufficient to use insecticide only the problem of that problem occurs or nearby. So far it looks promising, but obviously we have a challenge. So insect monitoring. So here, so I'm talking about national research only. So usually it's not really a problem for just for research because the government provides funding to researchers, either by direct funding or by salary or any other forms. And the researchers can collaborate with international collaborators, or they might also have association with international organizations. So then we can perform. Also from local farmers, the researcher can data, so then the researcher can generate report to the government or funding. So I put the list of international organizations, so there, so lots of many. And for the international research, so we have involved in multiple governments, so in the multiple researchers belong to different countries, so we can also perform nicely collaborate for the research for the pest insect monitoring. So this is fine. But when we are talking about the policy making, so then the government should generate the policy, and we are able to get the feedback from farmers. And actually, but among government, who is actually the one who implement this monitoring? So in some countries, it is therefore okay. Government government organization or sector is in charge of digital monitoring. But in some countries, it's not. It doesn't like a step forward. So and who will coordinate everything? So this is should be solved. However, but the national digital pest monitoring is also important, but in the end we have to think about international monitoring involving in multiple governments. So we need to have agreement between multiple countries, and often needs to involve the international organization. I don't know which one it could be, and we need to have a consensus, and based on this consensus we need to perform monitoring. But so this process is quite complex, and how we can solve these issues is one thing. So I really want to discuss about this chance. So just for example, so FAO launched Global Action for Animal Control, and they generate very nice digital platform which is called Fun EWS. So I just copy paste how they advertise this platform. So this platform is online resource for the data by mobile application, because many farmers have a mobile phone. So and researchers or government people, they use their own step. So they provide information to this FAO EWS. So and so they provide the information like that. So we have an infestation from this area, but we have no infestation from here. So it looks like very good. But this action finished last year. So the last update is 2015, January 30. So this, basically we cannot use this platform anymore. So, and they also have some information about the African armyworm, so Sphaera extenta. So the last update is like 3 years before. So if the funding is over, so everything is over. So how to continue? So this effort, so if they invest a lot of resources to just develop this digital monitoring, but we need to have continue anything. So tool. So for the digital monitoring, so we have I think it's very important to have like agreement among the different national government to make consensus or anything, any like program to make sure we can continue our digital monitoring for a long time. So yes, so I just put the list of the organizations so which aim to develop the digital monitoring. So FAW, IPPC, SARA, Digital and agricultural data. So this is Europe. So has also very big interest in EU. I mean, there's a very big interest in the digital monitoring. So they have this program. So so which one has been working? So I'm not sure. So to be honest. So I list the challenge that the most important things and the first and the last important thing next. So if you want to use artificial intelligence, it's very important to have a high quality data, for example, like image and image data. I didn't include the information of the data, but I will mention it later. So we need to have this data with known pests and species and damage, and with this we can do training and hypothesis testing. But it is very important to have like this data from diverse environment, and it could be a different nation among the multiple years to generate enough diversity. But how to obtain this data, or from whom can they get this data? So far, we don't have any good data sets for pest monitoring. This is another challenge. So third is very complex and unclear regulation. The countries have different regulation to use the drone. In some countries it can be very difficult, so for some countries can be easier. And to use samples from Africa, so we must comply with the Nagoya Protocol, so with the ABS. So and in many cases, so regulation is not clear. So it's not clear how to solve this issue. So, but it is also true that in many countries it is possible to, further this regulation issue. So we need to have like some effort. And the data ownership is also important. So like farmers or any like national government or researchers generate data. It could be a photo or genetic data. And who owns this data? This is not clear. So